Hello, today we're going to go over how to add a cloud repository from Otava, as well as being able to create a cloud backup job and a cloud backup copy job. Whenever you get your cloud credentials, which you'll get from a welcome email that you get from our Veeam Service Provider console, you will then have either installed your backup and replication console or will be doing so now. You'll want to have that installed and have all of your hosts added into the inventory before going on to this next step. You can either have your service provider added first if you're going to be going direct to cloud, or copying the cloud, you might want to add any of your local repositories by adding them into the backup repository, by adding that repository directly to that backup console. If you're ready for the point of adding your cloud repository, next thing you're going to want to know is your cloud credentials and the gateway associated with that. If you are in our Denver data center, you'll see that it's ct01.newcloudnetworks.com, and then you can see these other two if you're in these other two data centers. The next thing you'll need to do is go to backup infrastructure, and then service providers, and then add provider. Then you're going to want to put in that gateway that you would have got from that welcome email or from what you see here on the screen. If you want to check this, allow this Veeam backup replication installation to be managed by servers, all this does is anything that you have on this backup console will then show up in the Veeam Service Provider console, and all of those jobs will be visible from the portal, just in case you need that additional pane of glass so you're not having to log into the client's backup server, or you're not having to log on to servers that it just isn't necessary. You'll want to have that 6180 inbound and outbound to be able to talk back, as well as 443 so that you can get the certificate back whenever you need next. Being eligible certificate will then mean you're good to go to then go and add those credentials. If you see unknown here, then you'll probably want to check your firewall to make sure you're not blocking that connection. Next, you'll want to add the credentials to or for that tenant that you'll have gotten. If you have a vCloud director or some form of disaster recovery, it will be company name / username. And if you just have a backup repository, then you'll just want to put that username. Afterwards, you'll hit apply. And what this is then going to do is going to show you everything that is added into this account. So if you have backup, it'll show you how much storage you have, as well as if you have replication resources, and that would be the next thing you'll see afterwards. It's going to then add that service provider to your account. Now, if it's something that you've already had backups in, and you're waiting for those, then you'll want to wait for this next screen to finish loading, which will be the service provider rescan. If you have nothing in there, then you'll need to wait for it, and you can simply close the screen and go on. Now, if you're making a direct-to-cloud backup job, you'll just go to Create Backup Job, and then select specifically what type of machine that we're going to be doing that backup. If it's something that you added a standalone host that has virtual machines on it, you'll just pick whether it be Hyper-V or VMware vSphere for those jobs. If you have any physical devices, then you'll want to specify those there. Whenever that screen loads, you'll be able to select what you want that job name to be, as well as if you want it to be a high priority job because maybe you're backing up super important machines and you want those to be preferred over other things, you'll want to have that high priority box checked. Next, you'll just be adding those virtual machines. So anything that you would have added into that inventory earlier will be specifically what you'll see available for those backup jobs. You select that machine that you want to do the backup for, and then you just hit next. This is where you'll be able to select that repository. So if you have any regular repositories, you'll see default repository, or any of the other repositories outside of which all the cloud repositories that you have will show up, and they'll be labeled with a cloud repository in parentheses next to it. If you're just doing a direct-to-cloud job, then you'll be able to select your retention, and then that'll be mostly all there is to it. Outside of that, you have your advanced tab where you can select either forever forward, which is going to be with this checkbox, or just forward incremental, which is with it unchecked, as well as reverse incremental. And the thought process here is, do you want to be either restore focused or backup focused? Meaning that reverse incremental is going to be the fastest restore, but the slowest backup, as opposed to incremental is going to be your fastest backup, but slowest restore. After which you have your maintenance on longer retention chains, as well as if you want to do any form of encryption, as well as changing the opposition to compression, this is where you would do so. Any of the integrations and notifications after the fact are up to you, and it's just going to depend on your hypervisor and what's available to you through your licensing. Outside of that, you'll have your guest processing. So if you have any Active Directory, SQL servers, or file servers, you'll be able to do backups of those here. You'll be able to schedule a job whenever you'd like, whether it be at a specific time, monthly, periodically, or after something specific. Now, if you have a backup job to local storage and you need to do a backup copy to the cloud, after that backup has been created, then you can create a backup copy job for it. You'll want to select whatever you selected for the backup job. The only thing difference here is you'll either want to do immediate copying or periodic. Immediate being as soon as that restore point's available, it will back it up to the cloud, or periodically, which will be if you want to specifically specify how often and at what time that backup were to run. And then this is where you'll always add from jobs, and then you're just going to specify which job that you would have created to be able to then do that backup copy. Lastly, the only thing you want to key in on is just the backup repository. So if you want to send it up to the cloud, just selecting that cloud repository that you in that screen. And that's all there is to adding a service provider for a cloud repository, as well as being able to do a direct cloud backup job or a backup copy job.